Hey guys. So a few weeks ago, I had the honor of attending Rooted to Rise by Flourish and Win. This was a special event, perfectly curated for women to gather and soak in some powerful words by an amazing group of women. Lo and behold, my girl Rudo, that you can see over there, was one of the speakers at the event, and I felt so honored to watch my girl deep in her element and doing her thing. So for today, you won't be hearing from me. You'll be hearing from some of the lovely ladies that I had quite an honor to hear from, and got some lovely gems
We
that
are
I
here
would
and to
definitely
flourish
treasure
and to
for a
rise.
very long time. So I hope you
Now, I
do
want to read you
enjoy the
a
vlog
book
as much as I
designed to
actually
unite
enjoyed the actual
women that
event
flourish in me.
itself. So
They do
yeah,
what I believe,
enjoy.
and I believe in Christ. And in Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 8, it says that it says that they will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green, and it has no worries in the year of drought, and never fails to bear fruit. Now, can we pause? I'm going to read that verse again.
Finding myself. So before I start, it's such an honor to be here at Treated and Rise, standing alongside incredible women who are saying yes to flourishing, including you all in the room today. You coming here, you have chosen yourself, and that's how choosing yourself starts with confidence. So I want you all to know that whatever step you have taken today, you should know that you continue choosing yourself every day. When I first began my skincare journey, I knew that that journey was gonna be bigger than me. The same thing as the introduction today, I had the opportunity of representing us beautiful African women on Miss Australia pageants, a journey that I never thought I would be able to, but it all started with confidence and believing in myself and finding myself every day, choosing myself. So
You just scared everybody. Cry and stuff. It's really not that deep. I'm so excited to be here. I think it was actually that says that, she woke up this morning and she was actually crying. That was me too. Called them, they poured into me. And it hit me in that moment what this conference is about and what it takes for women to rise and for people to pour into you and for you to somehow wake up in a weird country. Not weird at all, I absolutely love Australia. Realizing that there is women who are waiting to just hear your voice and hear you speak. My wildest dreams, if you ask me. So I'm really excited to be here without wasting too much of your time. A little bit about me is I'm a mom, I'm a wife, all the roles that I have and everything that I have become. At the core of who I am Guru, that's what my parents named me. So I am a wife to my very supportive husband, Stephen, and I have two kids, Jeremy and Anaya, 3 and 6 years old, who are absolutely ignorant. Yeah. Heartbreak. Did y'all hear how loud that got? That means that there is that. I'm going to be talking about healing deeply and rising fully. Rooted will go through all seasons. That's a fact. This is why it's important to have healthy roots, because the exterior of a plant is meant to change. But you know what is not meant to change? The roots are. So your environment, we adapt to what is going on around us, but the roots, they really are not supposed to be changing months. Winter months are more about dormancy, so the roots are just...
Thank you so much. As she said, healing isn't linear, right? So don't compare your healing to someone else's healing. Do your own work for your own healing, right? So I hope that you're hungry after this. You're all hungry because we're going to get into lunch now. But just towards the end of Let's put our hands together for Lorraine.
Underprepared to be following all those amazing speakers who've come before me. But first of all, just want to say to Elsie, thank you so much for putting this together. I have seen you grow, and I've chased you as well. I remember you planning the first one last year, and I couldn't be there. But we spent nights and nights planning, prodding, making connections, networking, until it came together. And you're like, I'm so scared, what if nobody shows up? And I'm like, what if they don't? So what? You stand up there and you tell your truth. So congratulations.
I paid for my ticket. Not only did the ticket get me a friend, but it got me a mentor. So this lady right here is Mira, who is a business coach, and she happens to also be my coach.
Yeah.
So when I tell you it's important to pay for your ticket, you never know who you're gonna meet. And this is the evidence of it. So ladies, without wasting much of your time, let's put our hands together and welcome Mira.
So as you see in your beautiful booklet there is actually a topic that I was going to be talking about today. However, I'm pivoting. I had some divine guidance last night in the morning as I quickly text my VA. So the lovely ladies are handing around a gift because I'm a woman of my word. So today I was speaking about the 4 stages of change. However, I felt like there probably wasn't enough time for me to really deliver the impact of that talk to you in this setting. And as a result of listening to the profound messages today, I'm so pleased with this decision because I'm going to take us on a bit of a different direction today. But what you have in front of you is my gift to you. Our fears, etc., control or contribute to our external actions. So in that dark time, I needed to go within. I needed to accept that I was part of that dynamic breaking down, that I was part of the fact that I was now facing my greatest fear of being a single parent. And that no one was getting me off the side of that road, despite, I remember at the time, hoping that he would come. He knew I was there. I made him aware of that. And of course, the hurt part of me was wanting him to come rescue me. But I had to take full responsibility that I was the only person that was going to get me back out of that dark hole. So awareness is a key part to change. And as you'll learn when you go on the journey of a video series with me, awareness is about actually being awareness to how we are contributing to the reality that we have. Awareness around the fears and the doubts, or maybe the lack of self-belief, the lack of self-worth that might exist within us, that's contributing to where we hold ourselves back, where we quieten our voice, where we don't speak up.
It's about skincare, how you look after your skin and everything. Ashley has offered us 20% of her products, and the products, listen, I've got some. You're gonna see the skin glow. You will see it. It's when the skin is going to glow. So she's given you 20% off. I will share the code with you. As long as you're in this room, you will receive an email with a code for you to purchase the products from Vinci Color. Really aesthetically pleasing product to skin. And at the back, we do have a photo booth. I encourage you all to scan the barcode and out to go after the event. I want you to grab yourself a bag. Remember, I said to you, I've got a present for you. The girls at the back are just currently they're already in the bag. So if you and your sister came together, I don't know, you can pick, there's enough for you together. That's also fine. I don't know if, we do have sisters in the room actually. So yeah, if you feel like you need one per household, that's also fine. But if you feel like you need your own plant to put in your bedroom, why not? So I'm going to call upon, my seat. So you know this woman. How many of you remember Karen? How many of you remember her? Wow. So there's a reason why I brought her back again. You know that, right? There's a reason. There has to be a reason why she's back again, isn't it, Karen?
Yeah.
They loved you last year, and she shared some achievable goals that we could take in order for us to be better people, for us to flourish, for us to win, for us to do all sorts of things that we need to do. So I said, why don't I bring you back to just tie everything together after everybody has spoken, so that when we walk away from here, you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Easy steps or things that you need to do, what you actually have to walk away from here and what you actually have to do. So ladies, let's put our hands together for Karen.
Elsie, you have done an incredible job of bringing together such a committed and inspirational community, and I'm really honoured to be here to speak again. So, if you weren't here, I spoke about motivation. So, maintaining motivation, and I had 3 pillars to that. It was about direction, it was about connection, and it was about routine. Since the last time I stood here, I've been quietly working on me.
So I'm going to invite you to stay and sit with me while people ask questions. We've got a microphone. Emily, do you mind helping me, or the Flourish ambassadors, to just share the microphone? Anyone to just share around the microphone to whoever has a question.
So I guess put your hands up if you want to ask a question. I'll bring the mic to you.
Yeah.
Is everyone
There's
up?
someone in the back.
Professor Mimi Claudine Watts, Lagwapa Outaway and Federation University and African Union Commission ASRIC here in Australia. Thank you so much, Pastor Elsie and everybody in the room, and to the doctor for sharing insights. I think all the speakers really inspired us. But I guess as a Black woman, I think you are always in the spaces, and particularly so in Australia, where I think most of you in the room have found yourselves in spaces where you're alone, you're alone, you're alone. Some people even celebrate that they're the only Black person there, which can be disheartening. But at the same time, it is said, one can say that something comes out of it. But that said, the US is a very different scenario compared to Australia. And I think when you have a community of women, especially those that look like you, like in this room, there is a type of power, inner power that exudes, not just from you, but from those around you. And I think in Australia, that is limited by virtue of geographically where we are, by virtue of the history of our country and the connection with the African continent compared to the US and compared to Europe. Hence, resilience and strength is a lot of what defines most of you in this room and most of those women. And I would just like you probably to just share, maybe even in your own story and your own journey, that aspect of resilience and how that has shaped you. I know you mentioned it, but I think resilience and still thriving regardless of the setting is an important element that I think most people here can connect to. Thank you.
I would say I think it comes down to what now I have words to put to it. I might have not had the words to put to it when I first moved to the US at 18 years old, right? At the core of who you are, it really ends and starts there. Like I said, our environments are very different. Our environments are meant to change. When I moved to the US, I was 18, like I said, and left my parents back home. Had a few relatives that I had in the United States, but I really did not, I had no idea what I was getting into, like many people who usually leave their home and come to a foreign country, right? And that journey went very differently from what I thought the journey was going to go into. About a year into my education study, I lost all my scholarships. At some point, faced with homelessness, all of that stuff, and literally finding yourself at a point where you walk into a church and you're like, hi, I am here and I need a place to stay. I don't know, my family's not here. And this couple comes and they take me in and they're like, come, we have a place for you to stay. And they took me in under their wing and starting to find myself in my way back up again. And through a journey that many people might not understand, but I would know it was God, and different things that led things to happen, like people going to my country and ending up in my parents' house and realizing that those people were actually looking for me because they had heard they were the students who had lost their scholarships and all that stuff. And then getting kind of back on that path. One of the things I would say is I've always been a firm believer in you are who you are, but what you are is more important than the environment that you are in. Resilience is something that, like all the speakers say, you build from the inside. You can sit here and say, yeah, there really is not a lot of Black communities or women of power, hence the reason why women like her are creating spaces for women to come together and come, right? That's one thing. But that is not her responsibility to create that for you. It is your responsibility to find that environment for yourself. And if you're sitting at home thinking, man, I wish I had more women who would empower me and people who I would connect with, you're not gonna find that. So it's not about the environment. The environment has never been the problem. You want something, find it. If there isn't any, she talked about community and finding herself in a place where she was lonely and realizing that there is a need for women to be in those. If you don't find something that you need, create it for yourself. That's growth mindset, right? So we can talk about the environment and all the challenges and all of those things, but it really comes down to you. What are you doing about that situation? And don't sit there waiting for someone to create that for you. Find it. And if you can't find it, create it. And create it for other people.
Wow, I'm going to take one more question.
What advice do you have for women who are multi-talented, multi-passionate, just some ways to, I guess, avoid burnout? What sort of practices do we need to sort of put in place?
Two-part. I consider myself a very multi-talented person. There is a blessing to that, but there is also a lot of limitations. I find that early on in my life, I struggled with just being so scatterbrained, right? You have so many different things, you have so much that you know that you can focus on, so much that you can give to the world. But what it comes down to, for me, it took me a while to really hone in into, okay, what is it that actually gives me life? Just because I know how to do it and I do it so well, it doesn't mean that this is the path that I would flourish in, right? Because if it still feels like I'm pushing myself into a reach, it's gonna feel a little bit harder than doing something that you really feel like is really driving you and is pushing you in a direction that will actually allow you to flourish. Self-care, like I said, is not to say that it is not necessary. She gave a very good example. She said, and I don't know if you guys caught that or not, she said that she was doing her skincare. She realized she actually started to feel good about herself, right? The change that was happening inside of her was internal. She was doing a lot of external things, but then if you don't connect that external thing with something that is internal, putting a serum on your face is not gonna do anything, right? So being able to understand when we say self-care, we can say, yeah, I went and I got my nails done. Oh yeah, I went and I got a massage. Yeah, that is self-care. But if you're not connecting that external action to something internal, is it really self-care? No, you're just doing something. You're going to get your nails done so that they can look cute. But if you're not tying that and connecting that, so when you're very scatterbrained like that, you really need to focus on honing in and making sure that you are taking care of yourself in the best way possible. And if you can't do anything, more than anything, I would encourage you to actually work in reverse. Figure out ways to actually nurture your mind and link activities that will actually help you nurture that mind. So we can say, yeah, I run for self-care, but running by itself is not self-care. If I'm running to still my mind, if I'm running to de-stress because I feel really angry and I want to temper myself down, then you're engaging in something. So really be more intentional about self-care, because if you don't do that part, then there really isn't much that you can do. But also try to focus on the things that you can hone in and things that do matter. And you also gotta remember, like, there's certain things that, a lot of people ask me this all the time, like, how do you do everything? And at some point, for me, I will say, there was actually a point in my life where I thought that was the it, being able to just do so much and be in so many different places. And I realize now that that was actually a trauma response for me. That was my way of controlling my mind. If I kept my mind busy and I didn't have to think about stuff, then I didn't have to think about it. When I slowed down, that's when all that problem started, because now, what do they say? An idle mind is the devil's workshop. Because now you have time to actually think and process and think through what you're doing. And so sometimes even taking a step back and thinking, okay, why I am multifaceted. We can give all these cute names to all of these things, and some of those things are actually toxic traits that we tend to glorify, but they really shouldn't be things that we should be engaging in. Overworking, I'm just a person, I like to keep my mind busy and all of that stuff. Especially for us as Black women, right? If we are to be real, we glorify the strength, right, that comes with our resilience. Being a strong Black woman is a trauma response, right? And when I say that, it was because a lot of women, they didn't have any option but to be strong. Many of those people might have been single mothers. Like if we're talking about the history of the US, where maybe a lot of husbands maybe had to go to jail and women were raising their children by themselves. What option did they have to engage in their softness? They didn't. It was a trauma response. They had to adjust to the environment and step up because their husbands were not available or their counterparts were not available. And so when we are glorifying the idea of resilience and strength as Black women in that narrative, that is something totally different. And you gotta take a step back and think, okay, yeah, I am strong. There's nothing wrong with being strong, but sometimes on the other end of that too, and going overboard in hyper-independence and all of that stuff is not normal. Wow. You are a woman of power. You also deserve ease. You deserve peace. You don't deserve to suffer. Not everything has to be a struggle.
I know people are burning with questions, but as you can see, the place is not ours, so we do have to work it. But yeah, thank you so much.
Therapy. I always say to my clients that think of the therapeutic journey as a pilot and a co-pilot relationship, right? If the captain of the ship says this is what we're gonna do, and there's a co-captain who's maybe looking at the weather and they're looking at the routes that we can take and the different places that we can go, that would be the therapist part of things, right? I have the theoretical knowledge, and that's the bias that people think that when you come to therapy, your therapist is actually working for you to do all of these things. I have tools that might help you, but a lot of the work you are doing for yourself. You're pretty much guiding someone to help them on their path of self-discovery, right? Understanding themselves a little bit better. If you have any issues that you want to do it. Same way people might engage in premarital counseling, right? You want to understand. You don't do therapy because something is wrong. I am in therapy. I still go to therapy, partly because for me, it actually helps me take care of my mind. With the weight of what I do, sometimes it can be easy to compartmentalize certain things, but then there are also certain things that a client might come with something, maybe that might be, we call it like transference, counter-transference. Someone might come with a journey that is similar to mine, and I find myself even feeling like I'm questioning myself in the moment because I can relate so much some of the things that they can say, and to try to differentiate, okay, how do I stay within my therapist role without becoming human and too connected to the emotions that she is, so that I can give this patient what they need, right? That's the goodness of human connection. So when we're talking about therapy, you don't have to wait for you to be rock bottom. You can find a therapist to just say, hey, you know, and the good thing nowadays with technology and all that stuff, there's therapists, there's life coaches, there's mentors, something, find something. Like it might not be therapy, but I can almost guarantee you, if you are a person who is here and you've lived and you've had people around you, all those things that we were talking about that you could potentially heal from, yeah, you need therapy. But yesterday, yeah. And there's no other way around it, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. Yeah, we can act like, yeah, that didn't happen and all that stuff, or the better one, yeah, oh, I can do this by myself, or just because it doesn't affect me. And this is the other thing. I realize sometimes that our healing can be stalled by the perception of what we do. Like, and I say that because coming from Zimbabwe, there are certain things maybe that culturally might be normal, right? And then I moved to the US and then I realized, oh, wait, this wasn't normal? And then I'm starting to like backtrack and think, okay, this was a little bit different. It felt a little bit different for me. I'll give you an example. One of the things that we were talking about, I don't know if you guys are from different, but if you're from different parts of Africa, there is actually a lot of, and I actually found this out through talking to several clients of mine who are actually from Zimbabwe as well. And I remember having a client who was talking about how when we were growing up in Zimbabwe, we would call it mahumbwe, like kids play, right? Certain things kids are engaging in playing, and then someone says, oh, I'm the mom, and someone says, I'm the dad. And before you know it, like this little girl and this little boy are in their blankets, and then the little boy is like, oh, can I see your boobs, or something like that, right? Mahumbwe, it's in fun, kids play. Kids engage in that, some of those things all the time, right? It's very normal. Or even maybe you grew up way too quickly and you became a little source of attraction, and all the boys are like, oh my gosh, she got boobs and all of that stuff, and people are asking to see, can I touch, can I feel, can I do this? In that moment, because of just how something was so normalized, maybe you did not process it as what it was, right? And then you find yourself years later and you're in a different place, you're like 19, 20, and then you realize, wait, when we were playing Mahumbwe, I was 6 years old, and this guy was 18 years old. There is no way this person knew or did not know that what they were doing was wrong, right? And then all of a sudden that hits you and you're like, okay, I didn't think I had trauma over that stuff, but then now it's opened up a different wound altogether that you're starting to, so things like that where you might find moments in life where certain things, even if it was in the name of culture, and I know a lot of Africans were very notorious for that, things that were normalized that were not normalized. If something does not sit well with you, if something still gives you a little sore spot, maybe when you think about it, that is something that you really need to pay attention to, because if you don't deal with it, it's gonna come up later. And for many people, that specific client, she was saying like, I don't know, like she had just gotten married and she's like, I'm finding myself, I'm struggling to even engage in intercourse with my husband and I'm not understanding why. And then she realized that she had been molested and assaulted a lot when she was growing up, her cousins and all that stuff, and naturally in your mind, I'm like, she's like, yeah, I feel like my body was just overly sexualized, and now I'm struggling to actually engage in. So things like that, where you might think it's nothing, but then when you actually start doing some of that digging that people were seeing, you actually see that you are gonna find a lot of things there. So I highly, highly recommend, even if you don't think that there might be something on the surface, even if it's just for growth and personal development, everybody is always doing therapy. If the doctor is doing therapy, you got no excuse.
Wow. So that I can be able to give back eventually. I'm not giving back as much as I would want to give back, but I believe that God wants me to do something like this. So as you purchase your tickets, as you buy your tickets every single time, just know that I'm not making money from this. The money goes to making this room beautiful, but the most important thing that's on my heart is that I pick a charity randomly that resonates with what I'm feeling or what God is saying to me or what I believe that this is a good cause and this is actually a really good cause. So I look around and I figure out, okay, so what am I actually, who am I? Lord, show me who I need to give this donation to. And so there's a lady in the room. She doesn't even know. She has no clue at all. So she's in the room. Her name is Taida. Taida has a chosen foundation where she helps young children and women in Zimbabwe who are orphans and they've been through so much and they don't have anything at all. So we as Flourish and Win tribe, all of us with the money that you use to purchase your tickets, we are going to give Taida and Chosen Foundation a gift. don't make me cry. For Chosen Foundation, for the lady and for the young woman who wants to be in the same room as you, this is for you, Tyler. Every single year, doing things and insights that I feel like you'll benefit from, and for me to be actually saying to you, hey, you were at the event 2 months ago. What have you done? Have you done this? Have you done that? So to start the membership process, I have, if you look in your book, I need you to go home today. Your first task today, when you go home, we're meant to do this today right here, but we don't have enough time to do it. So at the back of your book, guys, can we give me a round of applause? Let Emily it's genius. I loved it. As I was doing with Emily, we were like, oh, this is clever. You know, my daughter wanted to say something. Like, so do you still want us to come and say something? Okay, that's fine. Change your heart, change your mind, that's fine. Yeah. And they're allowed to change their minds. She wrote a beautiful speech for me, and I actually had a glimpse of it. It's funny that when we're working so hard and we're losing sleep and you're telling the kids, no, mommy is busy, mommy is doing this, you don't realize how it affects the kids. But I wanted my daughter to be here today to see why I've been saying to her, Naki, so just give me 5 minutes. I've just got to post this content. Just give me, and normally it's around 7 o'clock and everyone is home and we're trying to have dinner. But I need to be on the socials to post that content so I can respond to your comments so the algorithm can notice me. It's rough in the street. And yet I've got 2 people, my girls, and literally that's the time that 2 of my girls are like, mom. So I'm like trying to balance it. So I really brought her here today so that she can see why I've been saying I'm busy. I actually want to cry because it's been rough trying to put this together and just trying to gather beautiful women in one room. It hasn't been easy, but the fact that we've pulled it through and my kids have witnessed what I've achieved and what I've done by the grace of God, it's such a blessing. And most of you have been with me through this journey. Most of you have listened. We had 35 or so women last year, and to have 74 women this year, and only going to get better from here. And I think if I do not mention, okay, a few people in the room, obviously, and not some in absentia, it will not be fair. I do want to acknowledge, obviously, God for giving me this vision. You know, and I say this all the time to everyone, that it's not my vision. Yes, I have what it takes to just start it myself, going higher and higher. I'm not seeing myself just here. I'm going higher and higher, and this is just a testament of it. And so I want to acknowledge my mom, who is like my support system. I talk to my mom on FaceTime every single day. Right now, she hasn't slept. She's been wanting updates. She's been wanting everything that's happening. She's just like, can you send me this, And I haven't even been able to send it, but she's just been that support system. My mother-in-law, honestly, guys, my mother-in-law right now, I have to mention her. She's around with us, helping us to look after the kids and everything. And I kid you not, sometimes I don't even cook, I don't even clean the dishes. I just don't have time. But the woman has been able to step up to do the laundry, to look after the household, to do everything. I must acknowledge her. But most importantly, even with her husband, both of them, they've been instruments doing homework with the kids, taking the kids to the park when I couldn't take the kids to the park. Me and my husband sometimes would leave the house early in the morning and we're back at night, but the kids, they're well looked after, they're happy, they're content, they're fed, and it's only because they have allowed themselves to see the vision and to support it by just being there and just being a support system. And I also want to, I was going to say the best for last, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm pretty sure he's somewhere here. Look, my husband, I must mention him 3 times. My husband. Yeah. Listen, this man, I have no words for this man. If I'm going to describe, I said to him, yes, I was going to say, you see, I even forgot it. I was going to tell him yesterday that your second name from today is patience. The reason being, this man has been patient. I was in Kmart at 10 o'clock last night, and he was sitting in the car, but before he went to sit in the car, the man was like, okay, what more do you need? How many more do you need? What else do you need? Like, he's literally picked me up and he's helped me to achieve this dream.
Wow.
I would not have done it if my husband has not been the support system that he's been. Andrew has been, sometimes he would just send me a message that you're amazing, you're phenomenal, you're doing. Listen, if I'm to show you the things that he says and what he actually does, I don't show it on the socials, but I'm telling you, I am who I am because that man has done something right and he keeps doing something right. So if you see him, tell him, Mr. Antonio, thank you so much. Just give him a thank you. Just tell him I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And tell him that I said I love him so much because I really do. And not lastly, the people in the room that has helped me to bring this vision to life, I'm just going to quickly mention their names. Emily, we need to clap. Emily has been an amazing help to me. I prayed for divine helpers when I started this, and literally every single time God keeps giving me divine helpers. From the panelists, there was no way we were going to have this if we didn't have our powerful powerhouse. Put our hands together for our powerful powerhouse. They have really helped me, not only just to come and speak, but they've spoken something in my life. They've been support system. My support system is solid. When I tell you my thing here, honestly, put your hands together for me. Thank you very much. And the Flourish, can we give a round of applause to the Flourish ambassadors? They look good. We do have, just before I finish, we've got some books that are at the back. Feel free to purchase them. This one is new. I went to the launch. I did a setup for the launch. This is from Pastor Temming. It's called My Journey to Purpose. If it resonates with you, after everything that has been spoken to, I encourage you to buy a copy of the book. And then there's another one called Piercing Sahara, Piercing the Thatch Ceiling. Ooh. Okay, I've not heard about this one. This is from the professor. See, I've got friends everywhere. I've got pastors, I've got professors, I've got doctors. All my friends are doing amazing things, and this is just an example of it. So feel free to support them by purchasing their books. And some content creators in the room, you will see them just running around. Feel free to contact them so that they can take content for your next event. And then I must mention, I have sponsors who have made this dream a reality. They are sponsors. We've got their names at the back. So after we finish, feel free to take photos as we are taking down everything. Continue to network. The music will be in the back, and then make new friends. Okay. So Dr. Rue is going to, before you all leave, let's just get the number that Dr. Rue is giving us. Drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll.
This number because it is a number that represents a spiritual awakening, and I am hoping that to the woman who actually gets to receive this, whatever it is that we're going to be talking about and the journey that we're going to walk together, that it would bring just that for you. So the number is 11.
Before I go, remember how I was talking about my husband and what? Next year, he's already picked a theme for us. Do you guys want to hear it? Yeah. We were sitting yesterday, and then he goes, babe, I think this theme was so powerful. It's the beginning of something. I said, why? He goes, yeah, because I already picked out your next year's theme. And I said, what is it? He goes, well, women are rising this year. So that means next year, we are rising and running. So we are rising and running next year, and I cannot wait to see you again in the room. So as you rise this year, next year what are we doing? We are running. So this year we've been rooted to rise, but next year we are rising. Beautiful. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you.